Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today. Tacitus, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. You're getting spoiled today with all these videos, listeners. In this essay, I'd like to talk about this is a child support case management, alimony case management officer, and her job is to make sure he pays and pays the maximum possible. And now, it's not the first time I've come across, it's been a few years, but it's not the first time I've come across one of these people. And this was a relative's friend who's like in this sort of government feminist type area of work, and some of her friends were at this barbecue, and it's kind of a mixed bag. And it's unusual you had two sort of groups that normally wouldn't mix or get together, and I wouldn't normally bump into these sort of people. So anyway, we're at one of the tables there, and she's there. I mean, she's like I don't know, mid 40s, quite short, maybe 5'3" tall, and about 5'3" wide as well. Very angry, very bitter. I think she's straight actually, and can't get laid, and that's the fault of evil men, of course. But she's right up to her neck in feminist ideology, and men have been oppressing women for thousands of years, and compensation is required. All consensual sex is really a form of rape, and all that sort of stuff. So the radical feminist position there. Now she was talking about some cases that she didn't mention any names, so she's confidential, but talking about some cases that she manages. Now she just pre-assumed that I would, maybe the other people at the table as well, but that I would fully share her views and attitudes on this alimony stuff and divorce and how he should pay and she's entitled and this sort of thing. She just assumed that I would go along with it. Now it's very clear she lives in a bubble, so that she never talks to anyone outside of that bubble. I may be the first person she's spoken to outside of that bubble for a long time, maybe years, maybe ever, for goodness sakes. So she just hangs around with gender studies activists and ideological fanatics and so on. So she doesn't really understand the world outside of that. Now, her view is quite narrow. Men have oppressed women for centuries, for gazillions of years. Therefore, in divorce, she is entitled to a very generous payout. And it doesn't matter whether she gets the house and gets a furnished house or gets the car and gets this. It doesn't matter about that. He must pay and pay and pay and pay. He must, because he's a fucking damn Nazi. He is an oppressor, and I bet you he's got a swastika in his house, and he's Hitler. And we must make him pay. And not just paying for the benefit of the woman or the children or anything like that, but as punishment for his evil fascist Nazi background over those thousands of years. So she's very much into that. Now, she's dealing, normally she's dealing with a guy who just works some 9 to 5 job and he's easy to screw over and so on. But this time she's dealing with a guy who owns a business, and business does all right. But so they steal his house and a fully furnished house, and she gets the car and also gets a chunk of money. But he also then has to pay alimony on top of that. He, needless to say, isn't happy about this. Not only is all his wealth stolen, but his future income. Now he's the reason that apparently she left him because the hours he worked were too long. But she wants every benefit. His ex-wife. She wants every benefit of all that work he put in, but resents the fact that he put the work in. So what does she want? That he works, a 30-hour-a-week job, and he's around to whisper sweet nothings into her ear and take her out for dinner, go out on nice shopping trips or something. What does she want exactly? He's working his ass off, and they live in a nice house, which she's now got for free. She's apparently never worked, or maybe worked briefly, but effectively. So she's contributed nothing to the wealth, nothing. They've had 2 children, so the argument is that then entitles her to all these goodies, the free house and so on. So anyway, the guy, and this has happened before. I've heard this story before. He just shuts down his business because they've placed a court order on his business to pay the this extra alimony. Now she has the authority, just this officer. I mean, she's not a lawyer or anything. She has the authority, just administratively as a bureaucrat, to say, we say that he can make more money if he wants to. We say he can afford to pay more. Now, they don't have to go to a court and justify it. They don't have to sit down with the guy and prove it or something. They'll get his agreement. His agreement is irrelevant. Fuck him, damn Nazi. He'll pay what we tell him to pay. If he doesn't like it, then he's fucking Hitler, and that's it. So anyway, the woman, the ex-wife, all the ex-wife has to say is, he could make more, he could pay me more if he wanted to. That's about the level of evidence that they act on. She said that. It's not us. We're not ideological fanatics that hate men. No. It's her. She said it. So on the strength of that, or on the basis of that, rather, they then can administratively adjust the amount he has to pay. So instead of having to pay $100 a week, he's got to pay $200 a week, or whatever the higher amount is. Now, he does have recourse technically. Technically, he can say, well, I don't agree with that. I'm going to take it to court. But they put on an exceptionally long waiting time for him to get the matter into court. It's 2 to 3 years to get the matter into court. But then meanwhile, he has to pay the increased amount. Now, he may win the case after 2 or 3 years, but she's got the benefit of all that extra money which she's had to pay, without any redress to any sort of legal or any legal recourse. So if he doesn't like it, too fucking bad. And he's a fucking Nazi anyway, so who cares about him? Now, if it's the reverse is the case and she wants the money, then she can get a court hearing in days. But when he wants to say, hey, you've just administratively placed an extra burden on me, 2 to 3 years. So it just shows how very one-sided that is. But she was telling me about this, and she's saying, and you know what he did? He closed down his business. Can you believe? He closed down his. Can you believe it? The damn Nazi. And she's telling me as if I'm going to be sympathetic to it. And again, I've heard this sort of story before. So I said, well, look, why should he? You've just arbitrarily, he's already had to give up his house. He's already given up the car and the furniture. He's already paying. And now you just arbitrarily, without his agreement, or just on the basis that you think he can pay more, you're doubling his payments. I mean, don't you think anybody would be upset by that? I mean, why didn't you have to take it into court? She was shocked. I may have been the first person in her life that actually queried it and said, well, no, I understand his point of view. Because she didn't know what to do. It was, again, if you'd seen the look on her face, it was utter disbelief, utter shock that she was being asked. And I asked her, well, can you justify it? Why should he pay? Oh, but he could pay more. He's an oppressor. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. Men have been oppressing women for thousands. Entitlement for the woman. I said, well, hold on. She's already got a free house. She's contributed nothing, not one penny. And she's already got a free house and got a free car. The house is fully furnished and she's getting money. So why aren't you demanding that she goes to work? You say he's capable of paying more. Well, she's capable of earning more. Why isn't that her? Why aren't you putting responsibility on her? Oh, but him, he's a fascist and a Nazi. And so he opened up closed the business, opened up another business, and they did a separate thing on that. And then they he closed that down or something like that. And so she's telling me the story about how evil he is, because it looks like he's getting away with it. So he's, the outrage, he's only prepared to pay what he thinks is reasonable. What an outrage. What a fucking outrage. Yeah, it's his money and his choice, surely. But no, it's not. It's his money, but it's their choice. And we're going to make him pay that damn fucking Nazi. So this was her position, that they should use all arbitrary powers, and their power should be increased. So this idea that they have to go to court or get a court order on anything like that, if they want to change the complete conditions of the alimony payment, they do have to go to court for that. Once they've got it, they can then administratively adjust it, but they have to do the original thing through a court. But now the government department that handles this, they're kind of losing it. It's too hard. He's paying some money. That's going to have to do, the effort and energy and cost and time in chasing this guy. It's just not worth it. There's easier meat out there to go and kill and skewer. He's just too hard. And if they go at him, he'll just do the same thing again. And he's obviously prepared to fight over the long haul. So they have to accept what he. Now this outrages her. I want to crush him. He's a Nazi. I want to crush him, kill him. The evil straight white male. I'm fighting for feminists here and fighting for the women. And so she's very much an ideological fanatic. Now I wouldn't employ somebody like that in this sort of job. To my way of thinking, the idea is you get the parties together and try and do something that works. If you're going to get resistance at $100 a week. And resentment, then why do it? Well, you're only endangering, the whole sort of arrangement, the whole situation. Why not say drop it to $80 a week, and he's happy with that? Maybe you'll need to go to work, Mrs. Billy Bob or something, or ex-Mrs. Billy Bob. Maybe you're going to have to then try a bit harder, but at least we can rely on him being prepared to make the $80 a week payments. But once we go beyond that, he's going to start getting bitter and resentful, and we'll achieve nothing by it. And so I would do it that way. But that's not the attitude that these people have. Their attitude is to crush and kill the Nazi, and rather than produce some sort of arrangement that works. So, but anyway, she was shocked by this. But when I pressed her to say, "Well, justify it to me. Why should he pay more?" She couldn't. I mean, she couldn't even conceive of putting down a rationale or a set of arguments or present cogent ideas as to why he should. Just couldn't do it. I mean, he's a Nazi. That's it. That was the end of it. That was the end of the conversation. But it illustrates just how much of that attitude, not only in alimony but in other areas. January 6th committee. Insurrection, fascists, white supremacists. That same attitude. That architecture of attitude permeates so many things now, not just divorce law and alimony, but other things. And it shows just how far we've moved away from facts and evidence and what's reasonable and trying to get parties to agree. That's all gone, and everything now is vengeance and getting even with the Nazis and so on. It's insane. You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.